Hey guys, welcome to ArtosisCasts. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I hope it's about to get just a little bit better. We're going to be doing a Terran versus Zerg here today. In the bottom right, we have one of my personal favorite pro gamers of all time. This is Iris, aka Berserker. He was known as the most aggressive Terran of his age, which his peak was probably 2005 or 2006. He did play in an OSL finals against GG Play, and that is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, OSL finals of all time. Now, Iris has been pretty active for the last 5 to 6 years, but he hasn't made it into ASL yet, right? Still a very strong player. He is doing a forward 8 racks here. His opponent, up here in the top left, also been active for a long time, also a pro gamer. This is ArtUser. Yeah, there's not a lot to say about him. He's a good player. He's a strong Zerg. He plays a lot of StarCraft still, but hasn't been in ASL. No big accomplishments from him. But yeah, I think this is actually a pretty even match overall, to be honest. Like, ArtUser, I don't consider him like a guy that I'm looking at to get into ASL soon. Like, if he did, I wouldn't be super surprised. You know, everyone knows who he is and everything, but you know, it's kind of different from some of these other guys, like, you know, that are right on the brink that I talk about, like, okay, this guy in the next couple of years I expect to be in ASL. It's not the same with these two that we're watching. They might make it, but at the same time, I don't feel like we're seeing, right? Like, it feels like, well, it's not that they aren't better than they've ever been, but maybe not like improving at the same rate. And I don't want to like overly judge someone for that. They're both very strong players still, but yeah, I hope to learn different here. You know, I hope to see some like brilliant plays, especially out of Iris, because yeah, again, he is such a fun Terran to watch. He's almost like an old school like Sharp or something like that. Not exactly, but yeah, he's got a lot of cool games under his belt in the old days. Definitely worth watching some of those. So anyways, you know, as you see, we're on La Campanella. It is an 8 racks, but it's cross spawn. So cross spawn 8 racks has a hard time on getting damage. He is executing it well. He's coming up with 3 Marines at once. He's going to start a bunker. So you have to pull a lot of drones here to be able to deal with this. You have to put out so much damage that 3 Marines aren't going to destroy your drone count. So here we go. The Overlord being attacked. He does back up because that is a lot of drones. 11 drones coming down to fight. Okay, he's going to pick 1 immediately. The SCVs are doing a very good job of blocking, as you can see. So 2 have died. We'll get a 3rd. I think he'll get 1 more. It looks like it. Yeah, okay, so 4 drones dead. Oh, if he gets a 5th, that's crazy. Okay, so 4 drones dead. He doesn't have a wall at home, so that is maybe one of the big issues here. He has to cancel that, obviously. Probably should just start a bunker as opposed to a command center here. 6lings running back. It's like there's going to be 2 Marines, so yeah, you definitely... Surprised that he didn't just start that immediately, but that should be up just about around the time the Lings get there. So yeah, probably keep these 2 SCVs out to block, to be completely honest. You got to be a little bit careful here since you aren't producing anything at the moment. Okay, he does get all 3 in just before they get there, so it looks like he is going to be safe. And I think you can look at that and say, okay, that was pretty darn good for Iris. It would have been better, I think, if he had made a couple depots up here and floated the racks back to make a wall as opposed to making a bunker. Now, the bunker obviously is going to make you feel very safe right now, and it's useful for a good portion of the game. But if he could have instead just floated this back, had a pretty tight wall overall, and just gone for the command center a bit quicker, that would have been, I think, a bigger advantage. But yeah, I think he's in a completely fine spot. You can see him getting the gas rather quickly here. And ArtUser just recovering, getting into his lair as quickly as he can. So, La Campanella, there's like a lot of options on how to play this. As you can see, he's already hopped a drone over these minerals. This one does mine out relatively quick. But yeah, hopping the drone over. He will be taking this as his 3rd. So what can you do with an extra gas very, very quickly is the question. Well, there's really like three main things you could do. You could do some sort of Mutalisk all-in, but that's kind of like that's similar to this other one I'm going to mention, which is a Guardian all-in, right? You could do like a very quick Guardian Hydra all-in. You could go crazy Zerg. That could be a really reasonable thing to go here. Definitely seen that a fair amount on La Campanella. But whatever you do, you have to make sure you're not going to give up map control to Terran, because if you do, they easily kill this gas, which makes this base much less useful. Now, there are ways to defend. If you go sunken and double lurker stack, then that's a pretty good defense against it. The sunken screws up the AI, and it's hard to target down the lurkers, and they kind of defend the gas. But, you know, that's somewhat expensive and doesn't really utilize the base to its fullest necessarily. So, yeah, I'm kind of looking to ArtUser, towards him, thinking, okay, let's see either like a crazy Zerg or, you know, a Guardian Rush or super heavy mutas to control the game. So anyways, back at Iris's home, he is getting stim, double barracks add. So a 3 racks with eBay and stim. Very, very normal follow-up here. Just a kind of a medium amount of Marines and medics should make him pretty safe. And yeah, ArtUser just getting the Spire. He'll be able to pop up quite a few mutas here. He is making a set of 3 Sunkens right now just to be extra safe. It's not the biggest group of Marines, but it's pretty powerful. You know, as you can see, it's like 9 Marines, a fire bat, and a medic. So that's pretty strong. And 3 Sunkens is going to be able to block that. So good choice there. Loses 1 as he pokes up. And 7 mutas on the way. So 7, of course, the good amount where you can start one-shotting SCVs. Range about halfway done. And, well, yeah, just getting his turrets in time. So, I mean, you know, we had that 8-racks opener that was a little bit rough, but overall, it looks like both sides have recovered reasonably well, and the game looks to be pretty normal at the moment. And now we get a hint as to what ArtUser is going to do. This is going to be a carapace upgrade, as you see. And that means it's very likely to be crazy Zerg. And in fact, we just saw the Queen's Nest go down. Where is it? There it is. So Queen's Nest coming very, very quickly here. The Muta's actually flying in, and he doesn't have turrets ready down here. Oh, no. Iris actually in a lot of trouble. The Muta's just jumping on top of all of these SCVs. Kills actually quite a few. Look at that. He actually has a worker lead for a moment there, 31 against 29. So that's very, very painful. You actually, for 2 base, when the Mutas come, you need mid-30s SCVs for your economy to function correctly as Terran. So he did fall a little bit below that. He needs to make his SCVs here pretty nonstop. He's probably going to have to go into 1 factory, 1 starport, because I don't think his economy is going to quite be where he wants it. He can add the 2nd starport probably after the 1st. Now, the Muta's flying in, getting a few more drone or SCV kills here. Wow, really nicely done. Brings him down to 28. Loses some Mutas, but I would say completely worth. I do like how ArtUser's playing this. I think he's playing this just right. Look, 6 Sunkens. I mean, that's all you need to see to know it's crazy Zerg anyways. But yeah, he has that carapace upgrade going. Hive is going to finish. Well, it's got a little bit still, but he is going to be going into heavy Ultralisks from here. Iris, as I mentioned, probably should go... Well, he definitely wants to go starports, not factories. Will he go 2 starports right away or just 1? This really feels like a 1 starport situation based on his SCVs being a bit low. He just has to consistently make SCVs right now, get his 2nd gas, and get the starport going. Now, he adds the add-on. This is kind of an old school play. You can kind of tell... I feel like by watching this that this is an older player, and of course I've already mentioned that Iris absolutely is. Armory. Wait a second. I mean, that the only thing that could mean to me is Valkyrie. Nothing else really makes sense unless he wants to do a mech transition. Mech transition doesn't feel good here. Okay, so he's going siege tank, Now, here is the problem, okay? And there's a lot of things going on right now. I wish I could just pause it and talk to you about all these different things. But right now, it looked completely like crazy Zerg. Now, ArtUser has made a full group of mutas, and he is going to continue to harass, but there just happens to be an armory, which is a weird call for this situation. But, I mean, a Valkyrie you're not going to go wrong with too often. It is a quick Greater Spire, but this is not a Guardian Hydra all-in by any means. This is a very strange play. So it looks like with a Defiler Mound and a Greater Spire and quick Carapace upgrades, that's not really a thing. That doesn't really fit all together perfectly. So he's spending a ton of gas on Guardian and Defiler, which means he can't really mass up into ultras in large numbers. The thing is, if you're going to go for like lower number ultras, you may as well just play with other units, right? The ultras, it's about getting like critical masses and the quick carapace upgrades to just straight up beat the Terran army. In this particular case, he's going to be utilizing Dark Swarm with just Zerglings, which is kind of hard to do. He will, of course, have those Guardians as well, and Guardian's going to be generally a good call against any Siege Tank type pushes. The Siege Tank push, by the way, just not going to get there before Dark Swarm. So kind of a funny-looking game that we have on our hands here. With Iris going across the map, of course, he can use the Siege Tanks to either siege to this base or try to go through the Sunkens. Probably this base is going to be a lot better. What you'll probably want to do here, if I could zoom out for a moment, is siege up this area and keep your Marines over here, right? So they have to use like 4 Dark Swarms to get to your Siege Tanks. That would actually be a really reasonable play utilizing these Siege Tanks here. But look at the amount of Guardians. The Guardians are going to make it incredibly difficult for those Siege Tanks to stay sieged and stay alive. Scourge coming out. It's pushing back those Valkyries. There is Irradiate on the way as well as a Dropship. Okay, so he's getting Irradiate and a Dropship. He has 1 vessel. Yeah, I mean, it was a wonky opener, no doubt about that. And definitely some damage being dealt on both sides. But it's kind of a funny looking position right now because they both have really weird unit sets and they're both going to have to kind of feel this one out. It's not like a standard game state, which doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. There is a certain level of mind games going on and everything. But anyways, the Dark Storm comes down, not on the tanks, unfortunately. So those Zerglings do get cleared. He's going to have to unsiege ASAP here. Now, one thing to mention is if there's nothing under the Dark Storm, the Marines can use it to kill the Guardians. Now, he is going to have to back up. The Guardians absolutely slaying alongside those Zerglings that are under the Dark Storm. So this ends up looking a bit better for ArtUser, who actually takes a supply advantage. He crushes all the flying units that we had down here. He crushes all the siege tanks. And honestly, his build was so good against siege tanks that it's kind of surprising that Iris ended up going for that, honestly. Maybe he did it because it's the map, and just in general, this map is good for siege tank pushes. But yeah, just based on timings alone, it felt like that wasn't going to do too much. Now, +2 is on the way for these Marines, but it's super slow compared to the +2 Carapace. +2 Carapace just finished for Zerg, and there's +2 attack. So we're going to have like 2 minutes of Terran not being able to really fight against any Ultras that come out. They can still kind of fight against the Zerglings. But yeah, as the Ultras come out, like if you're up an armor upgrade, it's a gigantic advantage. And in fact, as soon as he got the +2, he started +3. So this, I gotta be completely upfront. This looks completely hopeless for Iris. Completely hopeless. You know, I think his opener of the 8 racks was good. He definitely got some drone kills. He definitely had an edge. He wasn't really prepared completely for the Mutalisk harassment, which was a little bit of an issue. He did need a couple turrets down here a little bit quicker. But as is, like, you know, it's kind of an unorthodox strategy that ArtUser went for with the Guardian plus Dark Swarm into Ultra. It's just not, it's not something you normally see because it's just so gas intensive. It did end up working out because he was playing against Siege Tanks. I think if Iris had been able to go directly SK Terran, you know, like heavy vessel play, this would have been a much weaker play from ArtUser because Irradiate basically counters everything he was doing. Whereas Irradiate doesn't really counter Ultralisk play. But yeah, this is bad. Right now, you know, you can see that ArtUser's actually kind of hit a hatch over here, made a Nidus. He only cares about the gas. Really, you don't need that many minerals. It is all about the gas at this point. And you can see his supply shooting ahead of Iris's right now. So a second starport has come up. Looks like we have drops. Drops coming for Zerg. I'm not sure what that's for. Maybe to attack this base? I'm honestly not sure, because I feel like at this point, if you just spend all your money on ultras, you're going to win. There's just look at this army. This army is really super weak against this. He doesn't have any way to deal really with anything here. Like every portion of the Zerg army is better than what the Terran has at the moment. Well, he does try to stim up here to deal with this 4th base location. Unfortunately for him, that's not going to end up working. And the Guardians just going to come in with some ultras for this kill, it's looking like. A single siege tank here trying to help defend. You know, the siege tank does deal reasonable damage to those ultras, but as a Dark Storm comes down, the siege tank, along with everything else, going to be completely useless. Yeah, the Guardian's going to start hitting this base as well. 6 ultras on the way. He can't even deal with the ones here. GG is called. And that was a rout. That was a rout. ArtUser just absolutely crushing Iris. Thanks for watching, guys. GG.